Hey, everybody, this is Liz from Augusta, and I am really excited to have you meet someone very special to me today. And it's taken us a little bit to get together and make this happen. But first of all, I will have our friend explain, just tell us who you are and where you're from and a little bit about your childhood, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay, hi, how y'all guys doing? My name is Alastair, and I was originally born in London, England, and I came here at the age of 16 to the United States, and I've been here ever since. I was also in the Navy for 6 years, so I'm also a military veteran. And what else have I done? I've done quite a bit of things. Also been to Afghanistan as a general contractor. That was a great experience, and after that, when I came back, that's when I found Mike on YouTube, and then that's when I decided to join Augusta.
Oh, you're going way too fast. So, did you have any siblings?
What now?
Did you
That's
have
a
any
lot.
brothers and sisters?
Yes. Most of my family, like my family's background, is basically from the Caribbean. My dad's from Antigua, my mom's from Saint Lucia.
Wow.
Yeah,
Are they all with you in the US now?
just them. But everybody like my aunts and my uncles and everybody else, they're back in London.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, you just glazed over that military thing, and so we can't be having you do that now. So,
All
what
right.
made you get into the Navy?
Well, being that I moved from London to America, that was the start of my traveling. Like I traveled other places before. Like I've been to like Belgium, France, stuff like that, but I still wanted to explore some more. So, when I finished high school, I was like, well, do I want to go to college? And I was like, yeah, but I was like, no, I want to go out and do something different. So that's when I said I'm going to go into the military where I have the benefits. When I get done, I have money to go to school. When I get out, get a GI Bill. So that's what I did, and I stayed in for 6 years. I had a had a hell of a time. Traveled, went to a lot of different places, and it made me become basically that was a part that of what made me become who I am now because it made me realize you have to do things in time, like
Yes.
getting up on time, being organized. Excuse me, being organized. Um, just having your stuff together, like being on having making a schedule, and keeping that schedule. That nothing changes. You stay with that schedule and you keep pushing forward. So,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. So, you feel like it made you a more disciplined person and
Mm-hmm.
regimented. That's
Yep, it
great.
sure did.
So, you did end up going to college.
Yes, I did.
And what
I
did you
went.
go for?
I went to college for what did I do? Computer science and electronics. I did that for two. It was like an associate's degree.
Great. And so you
Yeah,
were in school for about 2 years then.
2 years. Yeah.
And during that time, had you become a contractor for to go to Afghanistan at that same time?
That was after
Okay. And what made you decide to do that?
because in between that time frame, I was supposed to get into computers, but for some reason, just couldn't get into it. So I said I have to figure something out or something that I can do that I really enjoy.
Hmm.
So I came across aircraft, aviation, and then when I started to understand how to work on aircraft, I didn't look back. I enjoyed it because it made me travel to different places, especially on the road. I was working at where did I go? Gulfstream, worked for Boeing, worked for so many different places. I can't even so many because you're a
And what
contractor. You
Yeah,
move
so what were
around,
you doing? Were you working on the planes? Did you do maintenance? What did you do?
It's like sheet metal structure mechanics. Like you most of the time you're drilling holes, you're installing rivets, you're measuring things, you're doing stuff, you're fabricating parts using blueprints.
And are you you're contracted through the government. So the government sends
Hmm.
you to all these different places?
Yeah, that's correct.
So would you consider that being in the military for those who are listening because you were in the military and you were in the Navy, then you came
Mhm.
out, but you came back in a different capacity? Would you say that it was still in the military or is this a totally different thing?
It's the same because most of those guys they were former military anyway. The guys that you work with, so it's not like everybody has to train again. It's like everybody already knows what to do.
Yeah, so how did you first discover Mike?
Well, I was actually I was in Afghanistan at the time, I was on my
Wow.
laptop because when you get off work, you can't leave the base, so you don't have anything else to do but to just do whatever you like. So I
Mhm.
get off work, you take your shower, whatever, you get down, you go back to your barracks, and I said, let me go on YouTube and see what's going on. Where can I take this money that I have and put it
Right.
somewhere? So I'm looking, I can't find anything, and then I came across who was the first ones I tried? What are they called again? Not U.S.
Lawn Care
Lawn.
Millionaire?
Um,
Oh, the other franchises.
yeah, I forgot what's the other ones? Not U.S. Lawns.
It's not
Uh,
for Evergreen
Browns
either.
guys, Browns guys.
Grounds guys, yes.
Yeah, I tried them, and that didn't work out because I didn't like how the percentage, how they,
The
how can I explain it?
royalty.
Yeah, it was too much. I thought the percentage was too much, so I said
Yes.
no. So then, of course, Mike came across, and then what got me was when Mike made that video that showed the difference between all the different franchises. He broke it down,
Mm.
and
Mhm.
from that, I said, yeah, this is the one for me.
What number
And
franchisee are you? Do you know?
I don't know. That's something I want to know. I don't even know what number I am.
I will find out for you.
Yeah, I don't know.
I would
But
say it's 20 or less.
mm,
You were pretty much at
maybe.
the towards the beginning, yeah. So
Yeah.
you were let's backtrack a little bit. So you're over there in Afghanistan and you're wondering what you're going to do when you get done with this stint there being a general
Hmm.
contractor. And so you're just trying to find your options, right?
Right.
And did you think the idea were you looking for stuff in lawn care or were you looking up franchises?
No, I specifically looked up lawn care because I was doing it before. Like I was doing it. I'm a person. I always work hard, so I was doing it on the weekends. But it was just, I already had the trailer and the truck and everything,
Yep.
but I wasn't doing it full time.
Mhm.
So I said, since I already have this equipment already and it's already paid for, why not just go and do that? I already understood what to do with the lawnmower. I already knew how to do everything with the equipment. I didn't need to be
Mhm.
trained. So I said, yeah, I could take off running if I do it this way. So that's what
Yeah.
I did. So that's what I did.
So how long had the franchise been in operation before you heard about it?
Um, Let me see the last. Well, who did I see on that video? It was a video of a guy in New York. Um,
Oh, Alice, AB.
hey, yeah, that's when I started looking. So I think you guys was open for what I would say, what, about a year, if that.
Not even that.
Not
AB
even
was
that.
in the first 10.
Right. So that's when I discovered.
Okay. So when you go for as a general contractor, is it usually for a stint of months? And then you come home and then you get a different contract and you go back? How do they work?
It's every year. It's yearly, and when you go overseas, it's like the rotation is like 90/30. So
Okay.
you do 3 months there, then you come home for a month.
So when
You
you
know,
came home, were you, checking things out once you got back here? Like when you're watching, and when I get home, I'm going to check into this. Is that how what your thought process was trying to find what you were going to do in the future?
yeah, because I also wanted to. That's another thing. Like, when you're on the road like that, like you're not home that much. You're always
Right.
coming and going. So I said I got to do something so I can stay home.
So
So you
on
got, I got
those 30 days when you were home, were you mowing grass?
no, I wasn't mowing. No, I didn't mow any grass. I didn't have time for that because the time goes so fast. It
Yes.
just keeps going. So it was when my contract was up for me to come home
Okay.
permanently. That's
Okay.
when I was like, yeah, it's time to look into doing something.
Yeah. So you were watching a mic, and the one video is what pretty much convinced you. And was the final thing that convinced you the fact that there was no royalty, but there was a flat fee?
Hmm. That was just
Okay.
one part of it. It's just everything. I was asking myself. I always used to think you need a whole bunch of trucks. You need all this other stuff. But the way how he was breaking it down, you don't really need to have that
Mhm.
much to make a
Yeah.
profit for the month. You don't really need to have tons of vehicles. There's no need, really,
So
to
you're
do
one
it
of
right.
those guys that were real that are really good at the work and you worked
Hmm.
really hard, but you wouldn't really know how to go about running a legit business.
Right.
I see. Okay. So moving forward, you decided to come here and do your training. So after
Mhm.
people become a franchisee, they sign all the papers and pay their initial fee, and then they come up here for training. And what was really different about you coming here? Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember I was the only one.
In
I
all
was
of
the
the
only one.
history of
Yeah,
Augusta Nation, you
yeah.
got to have
Hmm.
everybody all to yourself.
Yeah,
So you got to be the only one.
the
So
only one.
when you came to see me, do you
Hmm.
remember the book I gave you?
Yes, I remember the book. It was written by a Navy SEAL.
Yes, Jocko.
Hmm.
And so I was like, of course, I'm so excited to meet you because you were in the military and you're in the Navy and then
Hmm.
you were working on helicopters and all this. And so I was like, yes, somebody I can talk to about Jocko.
Right.
And you were like, who's that? And you had
Hmm.
no clue in the world who he was from. So I was so excited to meet you, and it was just like an instant connection when we met.
Hmm.
And right away, I was able to just tease you and pick on you that you had no clue who Jocko was. It was great.
Yeah.
So I gave you the book then, and you met everybody here and did probably some sort of abbreviated training, but we still went through everything with you.
Yeah.
And then you went home and you started. And what did you have at that point? So in terms of equipment,
I had my truck. I had, the regular, like the regular things like a blower. And then when I first started, I had the original mower that I used before I joined
wow,
Augusta. It was a little sit down mower. What was it? A 32-inch Gator. It's
wow.
made by World Lawn. That's an old school mower, right?
Hmm.
Still have it up to this day. So anyway, one day I was what was I doing? I was out mowing one day. I think you remember when I did that. I was out mowing one day and the mower for some reason it was just to the end. There was nothing
Yep.
left in it. And I said, you know what, I'm tired. I said, I'm not gonna keep going back to the store all the time waiting for repairs because it's killing my schedule.
Yep.
So all right. So I went back to my mowing place that I always go to. I built a great relationship with them. And I
Mhm.
said, I want them two gravely. Just get it. I'm ready to. Oh, I want these gravelies, and I went and got those, and I never looked back. I never looked back after that.
I remember that day. You're like you leave me these awesome messages, these voice notes. You're like, "Yay, Liz, it's really hard. This mower just died on me right in the middle of this. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go buy new mowers."
Hmm. Yeah, I went
Yes.
through it.
So, what was it like for you to go back and have this
Mhm.
history of what you had done before, and then try to come into some sort of structure? Did you struggle with a service autopilot? What were your biggest challenges there at the beginning?
I think service autopilot I picked up immediately. That wasn't a problem. I had to get used to the amount of money you spend on advertising.
Ooh, yeah, yeah,
That's a blow because I remember when I was at training, Mike was like, he looked at me and he said, we're gonna do, how much did he ask me to do? I think it was like 3,000.
yeah.
And I'm like, 3,000. I'm like, I'm not used to spending that much money on advertising, maybe 500, you know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
So I get back and he looks at me and he says, before you go back, I'm telling you, he said, you're gonna have over 60 customers before the end of the year. And remember, I joined in July. That's when I
Yep.
came in July, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm listening to him now, and I'm like, how is that possible when the season's about to be over?
Yes.
So I come back. When I leave, I come back. I'm pedal to the metal, not playing no games. As soon as I get back, no breaks, no nothing. And then I start seeing the estimates come, starts picking up, and before I know it, by December, I think I had about 65 customers.
Wow. What was your
I,
method of
I couldn't
marketing?
believe it. Hmm.
What was your method of marketing?
Oh, Google, that's the strong point. There's no here in this particular area in Florida. I think it's the best thing to use Google.
Tell the customers, tell our friends,
To the-
tell our friends what part of Florida you're in.
I'm in Jacksonville.
And can you mow all year in Jacksonville?
Yes, you can work all year round. Last year I only took a break for, I would say, when it started having a cold frost around this
Mhm.
January.
Wow, that's
But
awesome. So you
yeah,
never switch to winter services really. You can just take a
mm-mm,
small break and get back going.
yeah, you don't have time to winterize your stuff down here.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Not happening.
So you had no trouble with service autopilot because
Mhm.
computers were already the name of the game for you from going to school and everything. And so
Right.
the biggest thing was marketing for you.
Hmm.
And then, so at the end of that first season, do you remember how much you had made that year from
Mm.
July to December? Kind of what your numbers were?
I think I finished it. I think it was about what 65K,
And had you
something like that.
brought how many customers had you brought with you to the franchise?
Zero. I started from scratch.
Oh, wow. So you were in the same area though, so were you able to get some of the same people that you had casually mowed their lawns or none of them?
No, because the price range. That's another thing.
Oh,
I
yes.
wasn't believing in myself. Like as far as how much I'm worth, it was too cheap. I was charging like some yards I was doing for 5,000 square feet. I was
Yep.
charging like $25.
Oh my word. I remember that. They were really low, too low.
Right. I didn't know about having employees, how to do W-2s. I knew how to operate the equipment, like the practical side of it, but
Mhm.
behind the scenes, I didn't have no clue. So I
Yes.
wanted to learn. I wanted to learn how to do it the right way. So that's
Yes.
why, so
So
yeah,
how long have
I
you
was
been a
way too low. The prices are too low.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So now what would you say your minimum is for a 5,000 square foot lawn?
Right now, I can get that at 67.50.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that your lowest price that you'll come and get your mower out, or what is your base? So even a smaller lawn than that, do you do
Mhm.
45.50 or does everything start at 67.50?
Nothing lower than 50. It
And
all depends.
did you have
Yeah.
to go to nicer neighborhoods or like completely shift where you were to build route density for people that were willing to pay that?
Yeah, it's Jacksonville is a city where you have certain areas where people, like where I stay, it's more of a country area, so everybody has a mower over here.
Mm,
There's not even any point in trying to advertise over here.
I
But there's,
see.
yeah, but there's a particular part now, and that's over. We call it the South Side, and you have to take. It takes about to get to where I even start mowing. It takes me about a good 20-minute drive. But
Wow.
once you get there in that area, that's where everything is.
So you have a really dense route then once you get to the south side.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
Florida really booming right now? Is it really a great place to be mowing lawns or is it pretty difficult?
For some reason, this year it's a little bit different to last year. I notice it's still a little bit cold, but the grass is growing, but
Mhm.
it's a little bit cold. It's not like it should be more warm
Mhm.
right about now, but I mean, I don't know.
How has your relationship with your customers changed over time? Do you feel like you've gotten more professional or how do you handle difficult people and how have you grown in that area?
That's a good question to ask. Well, just the other day, I had an incident with a guy, and I guess, he had one big house and he had a small house. So I tried to get both houses, right?
Mhm.
Estimate got approved. So we go to the first house, we do a fantastic job. We go to the second house, it's like he went from Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So of
Wow.
course my employee was there with me. So I'm thinking, you know what? I'm on somebody else's property and I'm thinking about the safety of my employee. So I said, you know what? This is what we're gonna do. Because he was adding more stuff verbally to the estimate than what we'd actually, had on the bid for the estimate. Kept saying,
Mhm.
oh, do this, do like, no, no, no. That wasn't included in the estimate. So I said, you know what? Let's pack everything up and let's leave. So that's exactly what I did. Because I was thinking, I'm like, I'm on somebody's property, anything can happen.
Right.
So trying to keep the safety. And not only that, leaving in that way, it doesn't look like, it doesn't make you look bad.
Yes. So did you
So,
do either the house or the small house?
oh, we did the first one. That's why I say the first yard we did, he loved it.
Yep.
And then we followed him to the second house, and that's when started adding more, more things to the estimate verbally. So like no.
So you feel like you've grown in the way that you instead of just giving in and doing all those things, you thought we better get out of here while we're ahead and while we're safe.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have, how can I explain? One thing I found is just because sometimes you go to a neighborhood and the houses could be, sometimes there's some neighborhoods we go to where the houses are like $3 million homes, stuff like
Mhm.
that. But those particular people, sometimes you find in their character, they're worse than the people that are in like regular homes.
Really?
I'm like, how? I see you got all these millions of dollars, but you're more mean than somebody that's in a regular home. It's like
Yeah.
it's weird sometimes, but that's
So
what you get.
how has your journey been with employees? Has it been hard for you to get people or what has that been like for you?
Last year was a nightmare for me because I said to myself, you know what? I'm gonna go all in, pedal to the metal, right? So
Mhm.
I did that. Turned Google all the way up. Well, not all the way up, but I not to max, but I turned it up.
Mhm.
And next thing I knew, I grew to like over 200 customers.
Wow.
But this is the problem. When I went to weekly, I couldn't find anybody. So it killed me because I didn't have enough help.
Yes.
When you have that many accounts, you there's no way you can do that by yourself. No
Nope.
way. So
And you were
killed me.
doing you do like 13, 14-hour days, don't you?
I'm about to start that tomorrow.
Oh
Yeah.
man. So the people working with you, did
Mhm.
they come and work one day and then did they quit, or could you get no one at all? How did that process go?
I think in a sense it was my fault a little bit too because when I came to Landscape Summit and they showed how that template for the how you post a job,
Yes, yes.
it didn't look nothing. It didn't look nothing like that. So that I already knew when I saw that I said, "Yep, that's where I messed up. I should have put that there. I should have did this. I should have." Yeah, Landscape Summit taught me a lot.
So you
Yeah,
feel like you
yeah.
should have used the template that we made, or you should not have?
The original one that we had, that one, I guess that's the one I used. But
Yes.
I guess that the one that was the Landscape Summit was different. It was much more,
Ah,
it was structured better. It was worded more better than the original one.
oh
So I was like,
man.
I used that. As soon as I got back home, that's what I used. So
Good, good.
yep.
So at the end of the season, how many employees did you have, and how many employees did you go through during the season?
I went through at least I would say what about I would say about a good 12.
It was a lot, I remember.
Yeah. None of them stayed. And then the good thing about this year I got one guy. I started off with two. I have
Mhm.
one guy right now and he has not been late since I hired him.
Wow.
He has not called in sick since I've hired him.
Wow.
So what I do, I mean, that's another thing too. My mindset had to change about employees. Like there's a certain way you got to treat them.
Mhm.
So what I did was like sometimes when he's off work, because I've been going through my little personal issues, my
Mhm.
stuff. So what I did was this week was a hectic week for me. So I paid him for 2 days, even though he ain't come to work.
I love it.
Because the guy, I mean, I appreciate his help.
Yes.
So and I can see in the future I can turn him into something even greater. So I
Yeah.
said, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. So yeah.
You have had some really interesting experiences with employees. And I remember
Hmm.
one particular day that you
Hmm.
contacted me. I don't remember the one thing that happened, but one of the employees had a seizure, I remember.
Oh yeah.
And tell
Yeah.
us about that day. And I think you had a second employee too, and something had happened then, or that was when there was the death in the family. There was like a lot going on right in that short period of time.
Hmm. Yeah, that morning, because normally I had to go pick him up from from the place of work I'm not place of work, but where he lives. So
Hmm.
I'm picking him up, gets in the truck, everything's good. No, another day, I'm driving. So he goes, let's stop to the gas station and get some water. So of course I'm gonna get some water. There's no way I'm gonna tell you can't have no water. So
Right.
we stop, and then he comes out the gas station. I'm in the truck looking over, and he just collapses to the floor.
Oh no.
I get out the truck. Now I'm in military mode now.
Yep.
It's for first aid. So I get out, run to him, lift his head up, make sure, his airways, clear, got air. And I didn't even know he was suffering from a seizure. And
Oh man.
then I saw his arms lock up. They started twisting. And then
Hmm.
he kind of like, he passed out on me and I thought he died right there, but he
Oh
did.
man.
Yeah, but he didn't die. What happens is, I guess when you have a seizure, you pass out, but then you wake up, you snap out of
Right.
it, and
Right.
that's what he did. And when he got up, he was running around everywhere. So I had to hold him to make sure he didn't run into the road. I'm,
Yes.
I'm like, God, how can my morning start like? Oh, yeah, I went through some things, but yeah, he was okay. And then I explained to him, I said, what if we was out and you was in the backyard and I was in the front? I said this could have been a nightmare. So it was meant to happen when it happened.
So,
Yeah,
oh yeah, for sure. And
yeah.
so did he stay with you?
No, I had to let him go because it was just too like it was just too much. I just didn't want to take the chance.
Right. So he knew he had epilepsy, right? And he knew it could happen again.
Hmm.
I see. Yeah. That's really hard.
Yeah, I didn't want to let him go, but I had to because that doesn't agree with you when you're trying to do this type of work.
Yeah, for
Although
sure.
it was a good worker, but no.
Yeah.
Um,
So you personally, how
mhm.
have you as a person changed? Do you feel like if you had never come to Augusta, you would be what you are today as a person? In what way has Alistair changed, do you think?
um, what might cause churn. That's that feeling you get in your stomach when you when something's happening, like if your back's against the wall or the
Mhm.
business may go a certain way or something may happen that you worry. Like sometimes you say, "Oh, my money," like it's going down or it may come back up, and it's like it's a pressure. You got to get used to it. It's a part of business, so you have to
Mhm.
get used to that. Like when you first see it at first, you kind of like get scared because you're like, "Oh, my money, my money's going because I'm spending it on advertising." But you have to stay strong because you realize that that's a part of it, and the money will come back, but later on down the line. So it's those are the things I had to get used to. What else? I guess the schedule. Uh, like the first, like no, the second year, I used to get kind of frustrated when it rained
Mhm.
because I'm like, oh no, my schedule, especially when you're on weekly, like my schedule,
Yes.
I'm like, oh no, what am I gonna do? But then I said to myself, you know what? This is God's work. I can't tell God when it's gonna rain.
Yep.
If it rains, it rains. So you have to go another day. You just have to go another day. It's a part of being a landscaper. So
Yeah, so
that's it.
for those listening, when it does rain like that and you're on
hmm
weekly, you just
hmm
skip that week, right? And if it's bi-weekly, then do you move everything?
I shift everything. If it's on weekly, that means we're coming every week, right? So what I do, I shift everything to the next day.
Okay, got it. Got it. So you keep, and then at what day in that week do you stop doing that because you're going to be back there the next week?
I never stopped last year. There was no such thing as a day off for me.
Yeah, I can
It's
imagine.
busy when you got that many clients, but I just couldn't. Got to remember, like I have a guy and I'm training him. Then I'm sitting at home, like, where's he at? It's 7 o'clock, 7:10, 7:15,
Mhm.
7. I got so used to it. Sometimes I wouldn't even wait. And when I took the chance of leaving, the person still ain't show up. It still ain't come. They still ain't show up because I just got so used to people calling me and saying they wasn't gonna show up.
Exactly. Yeah. So you said you
I
went
knew it.
through 12 people. Everybody who's
Yep.
listening really needs
hmm
to listen to that because sometimes
Yep.
people give up after two.
hmm
And you just got to keep trying. So,
Yep.
how do you think you changed in regards to the way you viewed employees? Like when they got there, did you expect them to work as hard as you, 12, 13 hours, and be back there the next day to do the same thing? What was your expectation of them, and how has it changed?
Um, the first what can I say? The first thing was when you hire a person, you have to learn to let go of certain things. For instance, the equipment, because when you're by yourself, you hold it, you finesse your equipment. You want it to last, right? You don't
Yep.
want nothing to break. So
Hmm.
now you got these guys now. Oh man, they'll throw stuff around sometimes, or they do something, but sometimes it's not intentionally. It's an accident. So you
Hmm.
have to learn to accept the fact that if you're gonna grow your business, you got to let go of those personal feelings. Like, oh man, my blow was broken. I got to take. No, it's a part of it. You just have to just keep going
Yes.
forward. You
Yeah.
can't you can't let that eat you up for the day. You got to just keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So going through 12 people,
Mhm.
some of them, worked with you for a while and some of them were really good. And you had some in particular that you thought were going to be with you for a long time. What was that like for you when they left?
Um, it's sometimes it's a feeling of shock
Yep,
sometimes, but you have to just tell yourself, maybe it wasn't meant for them. Sometimes down the road, that person may work out now, but you may have problems later. That's the way I look at things sometimes. That's why
that's true.
and like I say, with the guy that I have now, um, I can really see him, like, but I'm not rushing it. I can really see him doing something real good in the future,
Hmm.
so yeah,
That's excellent. That's
yeah.
good. So bringing us up to now and
hmm
then looking back,
hmm
um, when there were times in your life when things would happen. So I remember there was a death with a little baby in the family,
Oh yeah.
and that was a really difficult time. Um,
hmm
were you happy at that time that you had Augusta to be able to just hand stuff over to, or just move things around? How would that have been different if you hadn't had Augusta at that time?
I don't know what I would have did. I mean, because like I had to contact people and get emails out, and I didn't even know what to say, how to word it, stuff
Right.
like that. So it was professional that you guys were able to do that
Yeah,
time.
it's nice when you're grieving so badly
Mhm,
like that to have
mhm.
somebody just to take it over that will take care of it well for you.
Right?
So,
Yep.
we all know as business owners that life is not a bunch of roses. It's very, very difficult, and sometimes it seems like there's more thorns than roses.
Mm-hmm.
And you have gone through a lot personally, and you don't have to share that if you don't want to. But just what would you say to other business owners? Life throws a lot of crazy things at you, and you have some children that you adopted, right?
Yeah, I well, yeah, I did what we used to do was called foster care. So we,
Yes,
we did that for a while. We did it like it was for 10 years at first, me and my wife at the time. It was for 10 years. And then we did it again like about about 2 years ago. And then we
different kids.
yeah, it was yeah, it's a different yeah, oh yeah, they're different kids now. Yes, definitely. So, it brought on a lot of different things. I mean, with me, yeah, I can tell you about me with my divorce. Yeah, I'm have no problem with that. So yeah, I'm at the moment, yeah, I'm still going through my divorce, of course, separation. But thing is, you know, I come from a background. That's another thing too. I come from a background of strong people, so it's not like I'm just gonna crumble. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's not easy neither. Like I've been carrying weight for a long time.
Yes, you
I, ne-
have.
I never made it fold me. I never made it crumble me because I know there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Mhm.
Either way it goes, there's going to be a way. So what it is, what I know about business is, and I can tell anybody this with business, in my situation, you know, my ex-wife, she had a business also, right? She still has it, food truck. So what it is, sometimes, like with me, she started it first. I help open Augusta afterwards. Sometimes you have to be careful of is when you open a business after somebody else. Sometimes you pass them sometimes. Like you start doing real good at your business, but if you look at the whole picture, it shouldn't even matter because if you're with that person, it should there's no competition. But sometimes people look at it like it's competition and it starts creating problems.
Mhm.
So it's a hard decision you have to make sometimes, but I know this within myself. I know I'm trying to leave a legacy for my kids, right? Working hard. So sometimes there's things you just have to do just to do them. You can't, how can I explain it? You can't just dwell on it.
Mhm.
So I know, like I was saying, sometimes in order to grow, you have to change your
Mhm.
situation. You have to. If you don't change your situation, it's like you're running on a wheel. You're not gonna get nowhere.
Mhm.
So, I said to myself, grabbing out with my businesses right now, I said, if I grow and I get to a point where I've got like 2 or 3 locations, I'm not gonna wait until that moment. It doesn't make no sense because if something's not working out now, and you've tried for so long, then it doesn't make no sense to, it's better to let it go now
Yeah. Yeah.
before it's too late. So yeah, but it hasn't been easy because it's definitely emotional, right? I can tell you that right now. It's
Mhm.
definitely emotional, but you have to stay strong every day.
Yeah, so what
Yes,
you're
sir.
explaining here to
Mhm,
people is when
mhm,
you started and your wife had the food truck and she was
mhm,
successful and
mhm.
she was supporting you 100%. Yeah, yeah, babe, you start this business, and she was right with you from what I remember. And
Yeah.
then you started growing the business, and then like you said, there should never be competition. Like, we're one
Mm-mm.
and the same, all our money's together. And you believe that that's the way it is, and she did too. And then you started to become a very successful business owner,
Mhm.
and then the whole demographic or the whole dynamic of your relationship started to change, because now you were probably changing as a person too. You were becoming a leader, you were becoming an employer. And
Mhm.
so her, as like the dominant business person in the family, changed. And
Yeah.
so that's a very real thing, because there are guys, that are starting from nothing in our industry and very humble, and now they've kind of got it together and they're going for it. But during that difficult time, a lot of their wives
Mhm.
income was floating the ship until they could, come up to that standard. It's like they say, when somebody in the relationship loses a ton of weight, let's say they're both really heavy, and the
Yeah.
one loses a ton of weight, and the
Mhm.
other one starts to get really jealous of them because they start to see people looking at them, respecting
Right.
them, giving them attention. And so
Mhm.
now this is the way it's changed for you. You've become this confident business owner person, and then she's starting to get intimidated by that. And so everything changed from then on instead of it being like we're together.
Yep.
But one thing I wanted to bring out is, first of all, being a foster parent is very commendable. I don't want to just gloss over that. So when
Hmm.
people start to become a foster parent, is it typically that they want to be able to have a little extra income for their family, so they bring these children in, and it's just for a space of time? Or is it typically somebody in the family and you really want to help them and you bring them in, and then the government will pay some of that? What is the motivation behind people usually getting into foster care?
Most of the time they come from homes where the kids they come from homes where it's well, like I could say, it's changed a lot because I have a lot of experience with it. Normally, back in the day when you did it, kids
Hmm.
were like they would come from a home where it was abuse or something like that,
Hmm.
right? But now a lot of these cases is like these sex trafficking rings. It's a lot of that
Hmm.
going on now. So it's a different type of child you're dealing with coming to your
Yeah.
house. So a lot of them, like, I've had a couple kids where all they needed, sometimes these kids, like when they're bad for a reason. All they need is just a little bit of attention. Then
Yeah.
they'll change, right? So,
Yeah.
the kids I get now, they're very like the psychological damage is severe. It's
Hmm.
nothing like before where they're stable, where you can just say, you know what, I can leave them in this room and everything will be okay. You have to watch them, not constantly like monitor them, but you have to like interact with them more,
Yeah.
because they've been through a lot. So,
Yes. So how many have you had all these years?
oh, I lost count. Oh my God, I've had like over, I know, easily over 200 kids, easily,
Oh my word. And so do
easily.
they come for a day, a weekend, a week? What is usually the time frame?
They come. It depends. Sometimes they go in a thing what's called placement.
Hmm.
Placement means that they're at another foster home, but that foster parent wants to go out of town, so they'll ask you, can you take the kids for the weekend till they come
I
back on
see.
Monday? And then you also have where the child will come, but sometimes they stay with you for a while. Like I've
Hmm.
had situations where I had to go to court.
Yep.
When I go to court, the child's like, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back with my real parents. I want to stay.
Yes.
They
Wow.
don't want, they don't want to leave my house. They want to stay. So
So
yeah,
have you adopted some of them?
no, I've never adopted.
Okay. So the reason I bring all that up is because, of course, that's going to affect the relationship with you and your wife.
Mm-hmm.
And the two of you started doing foster care in agreement, right? And together.
Yep.
And then I remember one day you had contacted me and you had said, "This kid burnt down my house."
Yeah, that's what this
Uh,
room, this actual room that I'm sitting in right here. This is where, yeah, it happened. And what happened, the kids, that's what I'm saying. You have to, oh my, the psychological damage is bad.
mhm.
So they tried to set there was like bunk beds in here. So they tried to set the mattress on fire in here, and then they tried to set some. They built like a book thing. A book. It was like
A book
some
burning?
of my books, yeah, and they put them in a thing. I guess they set that on fire too. So it was a big. It was, oh my, that night was
Terrible.
insane. Yeah, that night was insane. So police came by everything, and I think the two kids, they Baker acted two of the kids because of what they did, And the fire marshal looked at me, and he looked at me, and he said, "You know what?" He said, "Mr. Davis, I don't know how you do this." He said, "There's no way I could do this." I said, "Yeah." I said, "You'd be surprised how much stuff I have to go through, but it's just to help people."
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's not easy to when you help a person. Sometimes you get stumped on, man. You really do. But at the end of the day, you get your blessings another way. In a
yeah.
different, you don't see it coming, but that some of those kids, I've turned their lives around. I've seen them change. Like some of them were in gangs, some of them were suicidal.
Mhm.
Some, all they need is a little bit of love. Once you show them that, it's game over.
Yeah. So was it during
Yeah.
this time when you had this one
Hmm.
young man that did this? Wasn't that a specific time, if I remember, with you and your wife, that there was started to be a pretty big division?
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody that night, I kind of like, that was a night I said to myself, like, it's like my whole life went by. I'm like, wait a minute, I've done all this stuff to get to
Yeah.
this point. And I'm like, no, you're not going to take this away from me. No, I worked hard to get here.
Yeah.
So that night turned into a crazy night. Like, it was a crazy night. There's a lot of things happening that night. But besides that point of that night, it was like leading up to it, like with different situations,
Hmm.
it was just things that you see. And the funny thing about it now that I'm here alone, like
Hmm.
I mean, she left me, when was that? That was June 21st of last year.
Yep, yep.
the longest day of the year.
Yeah, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, she left. So all that time, the first month, I was like, "What am I gonna do? I'm by myself. I'm running around here crazy. Like, what am I gonna?" It's crazy the first month, and then
Mhm.
you'll start to realize that, well, damn, I can do this by myself. That you start to realize that you can survive, man. You can survive. Like all you got to do,
Mhm.
you got to find things to do, keep you occupied, and that's what I've always done. I started watching more things. I started on YouTube, they got tons of videos you can watch about
Mhm.
different things like what went wrong. And not only that, when you're by yourself, everything slows down a little bit. So you have time to think, where
Yeah.
did I go? What happened? Why did this? Like you start wondering, you don't see the red flags.
Mhm.
Then now I go back, I'm like, well, how come I didn't see this? How come I didn't, how come I didn't see that? But
Right. Right.
yeah,
Yeah. So what kind of things do
crazy.
you listen to now to support and help yourself? Are there specific podcasts or books, or what do you listen to?
I listened. The first thing I had to do um, was I went to a therapist. That's the first thing I did,
Okay.
and I did this thing called it's called what's it called? Oh, emotion code.
Mhm.
And what that is, it's like when you've been with a person a long time, you want to get rid of those inner feelings. You got to release yourself, right?
Mhm.
So this allowed me to be able to release the feelings. Like when I saw a certain thing, it would trigger something. But
Mhm.
now when I see it, I'm okay now. But at first, it was like it made you bring back those memories. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So you don't want that. You're trying to break away. So that's what I had to do. So I did that. As far as reading books, I'm always reading stuff like what's the last one? Law of Attraction.
Mm.
Um, what's the other one I read? The Tethered Soul. That's a very good book.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to hear that one. I don't
Oh
think
my,
I've heard that one yet.
that book is well, it's talking about basically when you just let go of everything. You don't care about nothing that has value, and you just let go of everything, and you just trust in something else. The book is a good book. It's a good
And did
book.
your therapist recommend that? Do they recommend books and then you listen to them?
No, there's a group that I'm a part of on Facebook, and it's a support group, and there's guys in there that they tell you their journey of what they went through, and
Mhm.
there's certain books, and another one was Codependency. That's a very good book too.
Okay. That's a good one
Codependency.
for
Yeah.
people to
Oh
read.
yeah. um and then of course that book that you gave me,
Mhm.
because that taught me about strength, but you don't never give up, never.
Yeah. Which one was that? Was that Discipline Equals Freedom?
Oh, I can't remember the name. I know the book. It was black. It's on the front. It's black with some white lines going through it.
Yes. Yes. I think that one's Discipline Equals Freedom.
Yeah.
That was a good one. I like
Yeah.
that one too. That's a Jocko book, people, if you're looking for them. It's the one
Hmm.
with all the military font, and
Right.
Jocko's face is kind of imprinted in the front, I think, small.
Yeah, he's a guy that really, when you feel like you're about to give up, sometimes there's times when I'm laying here and it feels like, it's funny what emotions do to you. Sometimes you're laying here and it feels like you're falling, like you're going into, like you're just falling, and you got to tell yourself, just be strong. You're not
Mhm.
alone. And you come right back up. You're good. So it's an emotional ride. It's like you're on a boat.
Yeah.
You're going up and
Yeah.
down, but you just got to stay strong. It's not going to always be this way. You know what I mean?
Oh
So
yeah,
yeah.
that's huge, and I don't want to
Mhm.
just pass that over because I know even this past week has been extremely difficult for you. Like you think you're finally getting there, you're finally getting through the divorce,
What's
you're
new?
finally you're gonna get through this offer. She's gonna be like, "Oh yeah, thanks. This
Hmm.
is a great offer." And then what happened when you got there?
Oh, mediation. Oh, yeah, that was good. I what did I put on the table? I made it to where it was going to be a 60-40 split with more incentives. And then what else did I do? She was allowed to, with the food truck, instead of having to park it somewhere, I said she could keep it on the property for another year. That would be able to help her out with. But of course, in between that time frame of mediation, that's another thing. Oh my gosh, person you think you trust, boy. In mediation, things came up of accounts where there was money hidden.
Mm,
15K here, 10K there. I'm like, I'm in, like, my jaw was on the ground. I couldn't believe
I
what was
bet.
going on. Yeah, so all that was going on. So I said, you know what? I put enough on this table to offer you, and you're not trying to take it, because of course she didn't want the house, because she said because of the land that we have, it's a lot. She didn't want to take care of it. I said, okay, you can have everything else and some. All I want is my house. You can have. I don't care because I know at least if I give her that type of money, it would be enough for her to start over and buy a house. Fair was
What
fair, but
about your business though? Like, how does this affect your business?
well, going into that situation, I think because it's a how do you call it there? It's a franchise.
Yep.
It makes it a little different. And then the thing now, what the jam is now, this is another thing too. Um, After mediation, it was kind of funny and hilarious because about a day later, one of my wife's friends called me and said, "I want to buy the food truck," and I was like, "No, I cannot sell it because that is a form of income.
Mhm.
I have to use that when I'm at trial because that's a form of income." So I'm like, I wonder why she would make me do that. So I said no, but difference is that my wife's name is not on my business, but my name is on the food
Hallelujah.
truck. You see,
Oh,
and
yes.
it's funny because Liz, this is funny. At that time when I came to Seattle to training and everything, and I came back, this voice kept telling me, like, I don't know, this voice was telling me on the plane, like, just do it yourself. I don't
Mhm.
know why. It was this voice just kept, like, I felt it right in my heart. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
just do it yourself. Don't just do it yourself. It's gonna
Mhm.
be a rough road, but you're gonna come out okay. Just do it yourself. This voice kept telling me that.
Wow.
What's
Wow.
going on? Yeah. So I said, you know what? And the pen, when I went to put her name, my hand started shaking. It was basically to say, no, don't put.
Amazing.
Yeah. So that's what I did. So
I
yeah.
think God was protecting you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm trying to, I just want to build something that I can have and I can enjoy my life because I don't know if I'm gonna stay in America. Like when I retire, I
Mhm.
don't think I'm gonna stay here. I think I want to go to the Caribbean and retire.
Ah, okay. Well, that's a perfect transition into what is your first of all,
Hmm.
where were you at the end of the last season in your income? Like what was your gross net, do you know?
I made last year it was 131,000.
With one employee? Like an average of all these people you had, did you think what was the most you had at one time? How many employees?
Oh, I had two at one time, but that's another story. I had two employees.
Mhm.
I'm like, yeah, finally. And I remember I texted you because I said I was nervous. I was walking back and forth in here because I was like, now I've got these guys driving my truck. That's why I say
Yep.
you got to learn to let go. So they're
Yes.
driving my truck. I said, if they wreck my truck, I said, this is it. It's over. That's all I got. It's one truck. So I'm walking back and I text you. I said, Liz, I said, I'm nervous. And I'm walking back and forth in the carpet. It's walking. And they came home back to the house. They pulled up and I said, yeah, I can do this. It can be done.
Yes.
But the thing I learned, oh my gosh, the thing I learned is sometimes when they was out on the route, I kept getting a phone call for every yard because they was arguing like little kids.
Yep.
Oh, this one's too slow. I have to wait. I said, listen, please just finish the route, please. It's like it's,
Yes.
it's nonstop fussing. But what I should have done, something I learned when I came to Landscape Summit, if I had another truck, I should have split because they were both good workers. I should have put them in
Ah,
separate trucks,
yes. Yes.
but I didn't. Wasn't thinking like that.
Yeah,
Yep.
well, you will this year, so you might end up, doubling that income if you can have two good people.
Hmm.
That's awesome. So, what's your goal for this upcoming year, and then what's your big picture goal?
Well, Jacksonville is a gold mine. There's still other places that other locations can be open.
Mhm.
But because I'm stuck in this jam right now trying to get through this legal
Right.
matter. It's like
Right.
I'm trying to do that also, but there's a lot of it's a gold mine. Like the area that I'm mowing right now,
Mhm.
that area is okay. It's nice. But there's another area just below that to the south, the southwest part of Jacksonville.
Mhm.
And that is where the gold mine is. That's where I would like to open another location
So,
in the future.
so you're just going to try to hold steady this year, get through the divorce,
Hmm.
and just like slowly grow without a whole bunch. Are you going to put a whole bunch of marketing in this year and try to grow big, or just kind of hold steady?
I'm marketing. I'm doing Google ads
Okay.
and I'm doing Google local services. The estimates are coming in, but because of this situation, I have one employee. So that
Mm.
one employee is going to stay with me until everything's finished. When everything's finished now, because actually, you know what? This is another thing. I'm supposed to have another guy starting. I'm supposed to have another guy supposed to start, and then the thing is, though, I'm like I can't because of the man because of the legal thing. I have to
How
wait.
frustrating. That's
Yeah,
so frustrating.
it would have took off again because now I wouldn't have to drive anymore.
Yeah.
I would have had those guys, and I would have concentrated more on my estimates. But it is what it is. I don't mind going out with that guy. I can still trade him on certain things.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, for
so
sure.
yeah, so that right there, if I go to, I know he'll be with me for a while,
Mhm.
but going to weekly is the thing. I have to have somebody with me this year.
For sure.
So but that guy, man, he's looking forward to starting. So I don't even know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I'm gonna do because that's another hiccup. I'm so used to that's what I'm saying, that churn.
Yep,
I'm
yep,
so used to it now from everything that I've gone through. It's like there's no fear, like because there's so many different things. Like it's like you feel like you're getting beat up in a corner by a boxer, and all
yeah.
you just take the punches.
Well,
So
listen to us. We've talked about like the worst things that can happen. Some kids burning your house down. You're going through
yeah,
this horrible divorce, and somehow we're laughing.
because I know that there's, regardless of what, that there's something better on the other side. There's always something. You have to, like I was telling one of my guys, it was what's his name, Ivy, down there in
Hmm.
Fort Lauderdale. I was telling him, I said, if you're gonna do anything in life, from climbing a mountain to wherever it is, you don't just walk up the mountain. You gotta. It's a hard journey. You don't just say, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna put on my shoes and I'm gonna walk up there," just like that. No, you gotta. You climb up there. You gotta use rope.
Yep.
Sometimes you may slip. You may fall back. You gotta
Mhm.
come back up from where you left off. So it's not an easy journey. But when you get to the top, that's the best part.
It's going to be great. So
Yeah.
are you looking for that other area you were talking about, like possible in the future that maybe that would be another location you could start?
Yes. Yes.
Excellent. Excellent. So, to wrap up today, do you want to share any quotes with us or any, as you thought about doing this, some final words of encouragement to other business owners?
Um. I would tell any married couple out there, especially like if if you're a guy and your wife is out there and she's helping you. I'm not just talking. Well, I don't care what it is, from the office to wherever it may be. Please, 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 like just both of y'all appreciate each other and understand that you can grow something so well. If both of y'all put your heads together, there's no stuff. There's nothing you can't. There's no way you can't move no mountains. If both people are on the same page and you're both doing the same thing together, that's all I ever wanted, to where it would be like, when you go out sometimes and you're working, you can go
Mhm.
to lunch together because you're
Mhm.
doing the same thing. Like you're together the whole time doing everything
Yeah.
together. That is the key. And all the women that go out there and help your husbands, I admire you to the. You don't understand how much you don't understand how much that means, just to see. Like,
Mhm.
I was inspired when I was at Landscape Summit. There was a couple that was sitting. I can't remember the name of the couple, but they was at the table with us, and she was telling me one day the employee called in, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna go out there and help my husband. It was like she didn't even think about it. She was just
That's
out there.
awesome. Mhm.
That is what it's all about. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's great. That's
yep.
great advice. And do you
Hmm.
have any favorite quotes that you'd want to share?
Oh Lord, I got too many of them. Oh boy, I don't know.
Just throw one
Sometimes
out there.
I don't know how to say it. I put it on Facebook. It's something about uh I don't know. I would say in this world, in other words, like treat others like you would treat yourself.
Yeah, like you
So
would want to be treated. Is it
yeah,
that
like, yeah,
quote?
in other words, yeah, because
Yeah.
I find, like, in this, like, right now, I find there's a lot of anger in people for
Mhm.
some reason. And I laugh at them most of the time when I'm dealing with them, like some of the customers. But I mean, I know it's a lot of stress. There's a lot of people going through, a lot of stress right now. It's different times, but
Yes.
you have to stay strong. And the main thing is, don't lose your mind.
Yes.
Once you lose that, it's over. Once you lose your mind, it's over.
Try to
Yeah,
stay sane.
yeah. All the
Yeah.
Florida guys, how can I say to you? I say I shouldn't shout out to all the Florida guys, and I hope that eventually we could all meet up at the same time somewhere or do something together. But I mean, I know that would be in the future, definitely. And I owe Vlad. I think I owe him. What do I owe him? I think I owe him a couple beers, but that's another story. Tell him about, but
Ah,
yeah,
he
he
must
bought
have
me a
won a
couple.
bet.
Yeah, he bought me a couple when I was there, when I was at
Yes.
Landscape Summit. Yeah, so.
Great. Well, I have no words to tell you that I'm
Mhm.
so happy you're part of Augusta Nation and
Hmm.
that we're all doing this together and that we have each other.
Yeah, I was glad to do the interview. And sorry for like the time frame because I'm like, wait a minute. I was thinking about when was it when we scheduled it for 7 o'clock last time.
Yep,
But
yep.
it's all right. It's all
It's
good. I showed up. I was
it's
here.
we are 4 hours behind you. So
Hmm.
4 o'clock, 7 o'clock for you,
Okay. Oh yeah,
right?
yeah. I'm sorry you yawning when you was.
That's okay. I'm just happy that it worked out that we could meet up and share with everyone.
Yeah.
All right.
I love Augusta. I'm not going anywhere.
Okay,
No way.
good. Neither am
Mhm.
I.
All
All
right.
right. Well, you have a great day. Thank you for your time.
All right. You too. You
Bye
stay
bye.
blessed.
You too. Bye.
All right. Yep. Hmm.